Hello, PhotoPiller Rafael Debar here. Welcome to another masterclass today. And because I know that many of you have lots of issues with the planner of PhotoPills, the planner, the tool that we use to plan all our photos from home. Today, we're going to cover the planner from start to finish. So the idea of today's class is that I go over all what the planner can do, all the little buttons, all the little tools, and also I'm going to be covering a few examples, sun, the moon, the Milky Way, and even the total solar eclipse or any other photo you want me to plan. You have time, of course, and because this is a live class, please don't hesitate to leave a comment with a question in the comment section, because as always, I have the great Sandra Yaure with me, and and she will be, helping me with the questions, answering questions in the chat, but also she's going to be sending your questions to me so I can address and help you, because those of you that are here live need to take advantage of this, ask questions so I can help you move forward, help you plan the shows you want. So you ready? I'm ready. And I'm going to share the screen and I'm going to start working on the PhotoPills Planner. Awesome. Now you should be seeing the PhotoPills screen. Is the pills menu, the academy section, and my stuff. And the planner is this tool over here. Let me put something here. You see this tool here at the top. And this is the tool we use, or the pill we use to plan all our photos from home. So to open it, just tap on the planner. And here we have, as I said, the idea today is to cover all the little buttons, all the little toolbars, panels, the pin, and everything you need to master once and for all this amazing tool. So when you want to plan a shot, you actually, as I always say, you only need to do like three things, right? How to move the red pin, because this red pin that you see on the map is going to be our shooting spot. So you'll be moving the red pin all over the locations that you know, so you can start planning your shot. Once you have the red pin on the location you want to study or you want to plan a shot, then you need to learn how to change the time. And for that, we use this colorful bar that I'm moving now to change the date and time. And then for a given date and a given location for the red pin, all you need to do is to understand where the sun, the moon, and the Milky Way will be for that specific date and time and location based on the information we see on the map. On the map, these colorful lines, I'm going to explain them later. And also on the map, over the map, we have the panels, which are very important. They give us a lot of cool information. So, as always, how to move the red pin, because you need to place the red pin on the location, and there are several ways to move it. One way, just you forget about the red pin and you do go to the location you want to start planning a shot, for example, the Lighthouse of Farich in Menorca, and you do a long press on the map, and the red pin will be placed where I'm pressing on the map. Let me remove the brand thing here so you can see better. Now you see it better. Perfect. Okay. Let's go back to comments. Perfect. So long press on the map, one way to move the red pin. Then you can drag and drop it for precise movements. And actually, the red pin, when I drag and drop it, it falls. It drops where I have I put the end of the stick of the red pin. For example, if I want to place a red pin on this corner here, I just need to put the bottom part of the pin on the corner and drop it. Awesome. More ways to move the red pin, super important. At the bottom, under the time bar, we have many options. The find tool, the AR, night AR, load and save, and more. Load is a very important button, because if I tap on load, here you can type the name of a place and the red pin will be placed on that location. A tip that I'm giving you today is that you can also copy and paste the latitude and longitude. You can paste the coordinates, latitude and longitude, that you can get, for example, from Google Maps, and paste it here, and the red pin will be placed on those coordinates. And also here you can load a plan. A plan is a photo plan. When you plan a photo, you can save it using the save button here at the bottom. You can save a location here, and you can save also point of interest. A point of interest as a location, and a plan is it's a photo plan. It means the shooting spot and the date and time for a specific photo. And from load, you can load them. You can load, you can load the plan, and you can load the point of interest that you've previously saved, and the RPM will be placed on that point of interest. You can load the latitude and longitude. As I said, you can copy the latitude and longitude on the search bar, but you can also use this tool here to introduce the latitude and longitude in different formats. And then you can, which is, I think I made a video about this tip here, the geotag photo. You can load the geotag photo, and the RPM will be placed on the coordinates that are stored in the geotagged photo. For example, if you're scouting in the middle of nowhere and you find a cool tree, and you go with your phone and allow your phone to save the coordinates when you're taking a photo. So the camera of your phone can also store the GPS coordinates of your phone. Then that photo will be geotagged. So you can take photos of the subject you like, and then you can upload them on PhotoPills via the geotag photo here. You can load it from the camera roll. And the RPM will be placed on the coordinates that photo was taken. So you can start planning. Or you could save that spot as a point of interest, as a location, that tree, that rock formation. Cool. Simple. Questions? You have any question, please don't forget. Leave your comments in the chat, and I'm ready to help. Okay, other ways to move the RPM. Very important. To place the RPM at your current location. So if I want to place the RPM where I am now, I am in Madrid, not in Menorca. I have the RPM in Menorca, but I'm in Madrid. I usually use the plus button you see on the map here, this plus button here. And here you have many options, but now I'm just going to explain the first two. The first one is the GPS button that places the RPM where we are. This is where I am, in Madrid. Also, if I tap on the plus button again, I can use the undo button. This arrow here is the undo. So I recover the position of the RPM, which is pretty cool. And you can undo and redo using these two arrows here on the toolbar, which are great. And the second button I told you is this one here. If I tap it, the red pin leaves, and then a white cross appears on the map, and I can just navigate the map and tap on the white cross to place the red pin where I want. So this is the most difficult part, planning a shot. Believe me, know how to move the red pin. At least it's one of the main issues that people have when they're trying to plan a shot. Remember, planning is not difficult if you know many locations, because all you have to do is to place the red pin on the locations you know with cool subjects, and then understand where the sun, the moon, and the Milky Way will be, so you can plan your shots. So you figure out the shooting spot and the shooting date and time a cool photo occurs. Okay, moving the red pin, checked. If it's not clear, please let me know in the comments and I'll go over it again. This is another tip. Every time you use an option here in this GPS, in this map tool, the button appears next to the plus. If you want to remove it, you can do a long press on the button and drag it on the plus, and it disappears. I can repeat it. For example, if I tap on this button again, I'm going to do a long press and drag it to the plus. Okay. We have the red pin in Favarich, a cool location in Menorca, and we'll be planning shots in Menorca for a while. Second thing, you need to learn how to change the time. And for that, we use this colorful bar that you see below the map. And as you see, the bar has a black line in the middle, which represents the horizon. And at the moment, I have the sun and moon paths, because this is the information I have displayed on the map. So above the black horizontal line in the middle is like the sky, or above the horizon, and under the line is under the horizon. The colors you see on the time bar represent daytime, this light blue, and the dark blue is nighttime. And in the middle, we have the golden hour, blue hour times, and all the twilights, right? The length of the time bar is 24 hours. So if you want to change the date, you have it here. For example, Tuesday, 9 to 24 a.m., February 6, 2024. That's the date and time set with the time bar. But I can swipe the time bar and change the date very fast. And as you change the date, you can see how the sun, in this case, sun and moon information also changes on the map and on the top panel. Well, it's super easy to change the date just by swiping the time bar. You want to move or change the time slower with more accuracy, you can do a long press. That's another tip. Long press on the time bar, and kind of a zoom occurs on the time bar, and now the length of the time bar is only 15 minutes. And now if I swipe the time bar, you see how time can be changed by minutes. So 46, 47, and how, for example, this is the position of the moon. This thin blue line is the position of the moon for this current date and time. It moves really slow, and this is very useful to align the sun, the moon, or the Milky Way with your subject, or to position the sun or the moon or the Milky Way at the spot you want versus your subject. How do you go back from this 15 minutes length? You do another long press on the time bar, and you go back to the 24. So long press on the time bar changes the length of the time bar. Long press, it goes back to the it goes back to the 24 hours length. As you noticed, if I tap once on the time bar, then I access a calendar, and here you can update. You can change the day, the time. You can set the time now, and this is super important. And some people forget to select this auto detect time zone. Why is this important? Well, this is important because with this auto detect, every time you move the red pin, the time displayed on the time bar will be local time. So if you move the red pin to another place with a different time zone, for example, if I go to the Canary Islands here, the time zone is different and it auto updates. So it's GMT plus 0 in Canary Islands. In Menorca, let's see, is GMT plus 1. So all the information that is displayed on the map or on the planner is linked to the local time zone. So you're planning, for example, a trip or expedition, you'll be working with local time. So you don't need to worry about the different time zone that you're going to be shooting. So all your plans are always made in local time. And for that, you need to tap once on the time bar and make sure that you have the auto detect time zone. Super, super important. And sometimes we forget to do it, and then we plan shots in the wrong time, right? Make sure that the time zone is correct. Also, when the time zone works properly, it appears here as a GMT plus 1, right? It's in white color. If I do it auto detect, when it's when it's not on auto detect, the time zone GMT plus 1 is in yellow. So you know that, wait a minute, this time zone is manually set, so it's not auto detect. So I can just go back on auto detect and get the time zone back to white. And this is another tip that not many people know. So it's super important. When you see the GMT plus 1 yellow, it means that the time zone is set to manual. So maybe you're working with the wrong time zone. And when it's red, it's because maybe you don't have internet connection when you change the red pin position in a different time zone. So the PhotoPills has not been able to upload or know the time zone, because we need internet connection to understand the time zone you're going to be. Okay, super important. Another tip, and that's the beauty of you being here. If I want to set, for example, the time of the sunset, how do you quickly do it with the timer? Imagine that I'm going to be, let's say, sunrise. I'm going to be shooting here in Favarich, and I want to set the time with the time bar to the sunrise. One way to do it very fast is just, do a tap on the side of the time bar. Every time you type on both sides, tap here, tap on both sides, it jumps to the next important event of the day. For example, now I have nautical twilight begins. If I tap on the right-hand side of the time bar, civil twilight begins. Tap again, end of blue hour. Tap again, sunrise. So sunrise is at 7:36. And actually, you have the sunrise time also on the top panel, 7:36. And the sun is rising in the direction of the yellow thick line. And as you see, I change the time. The thin line, which represents the position of the sun at all time, it matches the thick yellow line at sunrise. And if you tap it again, it goes to golden hour ends. Tap it again, moonrise, sun transit when it's high in the sky, and golden hour begins in the evening. Sunset, blue hour begins, moon transit, and simple twilight ends. Nautical twilight ends, and astronomical twilight ends. When the astronomical twilight ends, nighttime begins. So it's when the best time to photograph the Milky Way starts, right? Right, and these are all the hidden gems of the time bar. So I think it's interesting that you guys know every secret in this masterclass. Okay, check to how to move red pin, check to how to how to change the time, and now we need to understand the information on the map and on the top panels. But before we do that, I want you to master this amazing button here. And I'm telling you, you should use this button here, the map layers or the map settings button, the one that's next to the plus on the map. Why is this button important? Guys, because here you have everything in one screen. Here you can decide what mode you want to use. You want to use the camera mode or you want to use the drone mode. If you want to plan shots, top-down shots of the drone, for example. This is a drone mode, right? You can just fly, and I can just rotate the map, and I can, try to find cool compositions with the drone. I have rotate. You can find. I have the height of the drone here. I see the frame of the drone. I can choose the camera. Let's see, Mavic. Gonna change Mavic 2 Pro, for example. So I have the camera, I have the settings, and I can activate the grid thirds if you want to compose a shot. Some compositional golden ratio grids here, which are pretty cool. I'm gonna set to none. I can also make the drone disappear, and I should import it or landscape. But yeah, the drone mode is pretty cool. Here you have everything to understand what will be in the frame and the shape you're gonna be capturing. But anyway, I'm not here to give you a masterclass on how to use the drone mode, but it's pretty simple. You have to do is to enable it, and then you just navigate the map until you find the cool composition. Great. What else you have here? You have the map type. So you can use Google or Apple. It depends on Android or iOS. Street maps. We're going to be adding more maps, like pollution maps. We're going to be adding more cool stuff in the future, hopefully in the near future. And yeah, you can choose your map type here. And then we have the map tools. Super, super important map tools and the map layers. Another thing that's super, super important. Map tools, none, field of view, depth of field, or sun and moon. Let's start with the field of view. What's the field of view map tool? Well, you want to plan your frame, your focal length on the map. You can enable the field of view map tool. Why? Because here, based on the camera settings, you need to set your camera, your focal length, where you're focusing, and shooting portrait of landscape, and the shooting direction that can be set here with this little dark circle here on the map. I can change and see what's going to be in the frame. This in the frame and outside the frame. And here I have the where I'm focusing, 47.1 degrees. Super important. So simple tool to understand map understand the field of view, what's going to be in the frame and outside the frame. And you can change the focal length here. For example, let's do a 35 mil, and you see how different it is, right? So you can plan. Once you've planned a shot, you can really plan also the field of view and also the depth of field. And for that, I'm going to go back to the map settings button and go to DOF. And here, I'm going to enable now the depth of field map tool. And this map tool allows you to plan the depth of field and also the field of view. And once again, you introduce your camera, your focal length, the aperture, and where you're focusing, and you have all on the map. You have what's going to be in the frame, and also all the hyperfocal distance and the depth of field near limit and the depth of field far limit. Anyway, I'll go back to these tools when I plan a moonshot or a sunshot so you understand it better. And the last tool is going to be the sun and moon tool, which it tells me that I need to have the black pin to use this tool. And where do you enable the black pin? And this is a question for you guys. Please let me know in the chat if you know where we can enable the black pin. Let me know in the comments if you know. Let me know. Well, you need to do it from panel number 2. Panel number 2 above the map, you have the black pin button here, and when you tap here on the black pin button, the black pin appears on the map, and now then you can place it where you want. I usually place it on my subject, so I have my subject perfectly visible on the map. So when I move the red pin, I know where my subject is at all time. This is one of the best uses of the black pin, super important. But also the black pin gives us information between the terrain, between the red pin, the shooting spot, and the subject, where you place the black pin. It gives me the shooting distance, 333 meters, the shooting direction, which is the azimuth, measured from north, 105 degrees. This is this angle here from north. So north is at the top, south at the bottom, east on the right-hand side, and west on the left-hand side, right? So 105 is this angle here. An altitude difference, 4 meters. It means that the black pin is 4 meters higher than the terrain of the red pin. And this, given the distance, the shooting distance, or the distance between the two pins, is an angle of 1.04 degrees. Okay. More things that the panel, the red pin is useful for. Well, it gives me the moon height above from the black pin, 126. This means that the center of the moon, when you align the moon with the black pin, is, in this case, is 126 meters above the terrain of the black pin. So you know how high the moon is going to be compared to your subject. You place the black pin on your subject. And in brackets, you have the size of the moon, 2.4 meters, which means that if I'm shooting from this spot here, the moon is gonna have a size of 2.4 meters. Very, very, very cool. So you understand how big the moon is gonna be compared to your subject. Well, but I was playing the sun and moon tool here, and what this tool is giving me is that based on the moon size I want, let's say I want a moon of 10 meters of diameter, because I want the moon to be 10 meters compared to your subject, the subject, it's telling me that I need to be at the shooting distance of 1.1 kilometers. So I need to be somewhere on this circumference here to get the moon size of more or less 10 meters, right? And this is the use of this map settings tool here, of the map tool, the sun and moon. Okay, I'm going to switch off the map tools because I want to jump on the map layers, which is super important that you master it. So these map layers allows you to switch on and off what you want to have displayed on the map. So it's super important. You want to plan the sun or the moon, you can have the sun and moon layer switch on. If you want to plan the Milky Way, you can switch off by tapping on the eye icon next to the layer, you can switch off the sun layer, switch on the moon layer, and switch on the Milky Way layer by tapping on the eye next to the Milky Way layer. So when I go back to the map, I have the moon and the sun information, the moon and the Milky Way information on the map. You know that in PhotoPills, the Milky Way is represented by this dotted white arch. Now that the Milky Way is represented as 180-degree arch. And in this case, from the issuing spot, so you understand the Milky Way is arching above the lighthouse. So you understand the position of the lighthouse, of the Milky Way. And the moon is rising in this direction and setting in this direction. Very cool. Let's go back to the map settings. And here then, well, you have the meteor showers. When you want to apply meteor shower, you can upload the meteor shower using this tool here. And also you can upload an eclipse. For example, those of you that are going to be photographing the next solar eclipse. Oh, yeah. My voice is not very good these days. So you can use these map settings, map layers to plan the eclipse. I'm going to show you how to do it afterwards. Because now what I'm going to do is to start planning shots, because I think the best way you understand all the panels and the ways I use PhotoPills to plan all our shots for PhotoPills and for all the PhotoPills expeditions around the world. It's super important that you see a few examples. Okay, let's start planning. By the way, you have questions. Sandra, nobody's asking questions here. Has everybody left already? Maybe I'm going too fast. I'm reading comments that some people don't understand me. Well, this is my problem. I see a question on how to get the black pin. Well, the black pin, you need to go to panel number 2 here and swipe the panel until panel number 2, and you need to tap on the on the button on the panel, so you can you have the mapping on the map. Okay, but I'm going to switch it off, and I'm going to start over. Imagine that I'm here in Menorca. I'm going to switch back to sun and moon information on the map. So imagine that you're planning an adventure to Menorca, which I recommend you to visit, maybe during the PhotoPills camp. If somebody wants to join the PhotoPills camp, please send me an email at info@photopills.com, because we have the 3 or 4 spots available. So you guys want to join, don't tell anybody. Send me an email, info@photopills.com, and I'll get you in. So imagine that you want to go to Menorca and start, and before you go, you want to plan shots here with the sun, the moon, the Milky Way, maybe the eclipse. Maybe the eclipse is not happening here. How do you do it? Once again, if you have the red pin, let's say in the United States, and you want to place the red pin in the destination, you could just tap on load, and on the time bar and the search address, I'm going to type Menorca, Iceland. Okay, Menorca Airport, perfecto. So the red pin is placed in Menorca at the airport. Also, I have the red pin in Menorca, which is pretty cool. So first step, always place the red pin on the location you want to scout or you want to start planning shots. Perfect. What's going to be? What do you want to plan? Well, it depends on what you want. You want to start with a sun shot, or with a moon shot, or with a Milky Way shot. Then you need to go to the map settings here and enable the layer you want to, of the thing you want to plan. For example, I'm going to start planning the sun only. So I'm going to switch off the moon layer by tapping on the icon next to moon. And then I'm only getting the sun layer on the map. Okay, go back to the map, and I only have the sun information on the map. This is the sunrise direction, sunset direction, and this is for February 18th, 2024. And on top panel, on panel number 1, 2, 3, 4, I have sunrise time, sunset time, moonrise set, moonrise moonset time, and moonrise time. So on February 18th, which is Sunday, the sun will be rising at 7:34 a.m. in direction of the yellow thick line, and it's going to be setting on the direction of the orange thick line at 6:22 p.m. Okay, if you want to plan a shot for Sunday, it's good. For Sunday the 18th, it's great. But if you want to plan the shot for the next weekend, what you can do is you do a double tap here on the time bar, 2 taps, and you set the time and date to today and now. So today is February 7th, 2024, and it's 7:30 p.m. Well, let's plan a shot for next Saturday. Now I just swipe the time bar until Saturday. Okay, I have the date. I want to photograph the sunrise or the sunset. And now on the map, I have for Saturday the sunrise direction and sunset direction. And based on the sunrise direction and sunset direction, I can start looking for cool locations and subjects to photograph. And as always, before you start planning, you should scout the locations online or in the field to find cool subjects. The more subjects you know, the better and the easier it will be to plan your shots. In this case, you know it. You know many subjects. So based on the sunrise direction, many subjects come to my mind. Of course, an easy one is to come down here to Illa del Aire, where we have a beautiful lighthouse here. I could just go and try to shoot the sunrise with the lighthouse. And this is the cool subject. And this is what I always do and I recommend you to do. You zoom on your subject and then go to panel number 2, tap on the button on the panel, the black pin appears on the map, and you place the black pin on your subject. But don't place it at the tip, because if you place it where I place it now, you're not placing it actually on the tip, you're just placing it in front of or next to your subject. You want to place it where you think your subject meets the ground level, because this is a vertical structure, and what you're seeing on the map is just a projection. So you want to have the sun aligned with your subject, place it where you think the subject meets the ground level. And this is just another tip. Okay, and now all I have to do is to move the red pin to maybe find the location, which maybe is not that easy for this day. Yeah, I can go far away, very far away. That's very cool. From here. And try to photograph the sun rising next to my lighthouse, right? So it's super important. The sunrise and sunset directions are super important because they tell me, actually, thanks to these guides, these lines, where I can start looking for a possible shooting spot. If you want to have the sun or the moon aligned with your subject, if you want to have just photographing your subject and having at sunrise the light coming from the side, then you need to choose a different shooting spot. A spot where you can just photograph the lighthouse of your subject and having the sun rising on the side, right? Maybe here. The sun is rising and you have like an angle of 90 degrees of the sunrise golden hour light with your lighthouse. But I'll go back with the undo button to my previous long distance shot of the sun, and I'm gonna change the time until the sun is aligned, for example, with my lighthouse. And I'm gonna do a long press on the time bar to move time more precisely. As you see, I'm using all the tools I've told you before. Maybe the first half an hour has been very hard to follow me because I was only giving you tips and explaining you the buttons. But now everything should make sense because I'm going to be using all the tips I'm sharing with you in a more practical way. Okay. And if you're wondering why the sun line is so thick, this is because I have the sun size switch on the map. So this is the actual apparent size of the sun represented on the map. So the sun from that shooting spot, which is at 4.8 kilometers, is pretty big. It's as big as the whole lighthouse. And if you want to enable the size of the sun or the moon above the lighthouse on the map, you need to go to the map settings button again. And here you need to tap on the sun layer or moon layer, sun layer, and make sure that you have the show sun size. This is another tip and super important. You guys, I recommend you to go and switch on show sun size on the map, so you have the sun size on the map, so you can compare with your subject. And the same for the moon. If I go back to the map settings button and tap on moon, I can do show moon size. Great. Okay. So maybe I don't want the sun to be aligned with the lighthouse. Maybe I want the sun to be more to the side here, like here, right? It's not compulsory to have everything always aligned. So based on, you need to be a photographer first, right? You need to decide what you want in your photo before you start planning. So if, for example, I have the sun here, the sun height above the terrain of the black pin is 44.6 meters, which is pretty cool. I know that the lighthouse, I think, is around 30 meters. So the center of the sun is at 44.6, so it's pretty close to the top of the lighthouse. And the sun size, in brackets, is 45 meters. So it's pretty big, right? The center of the sun is at 44 meters above the terrain. And the size, the diameter of the sun is 45. So the radius is 22, 20, 23, if you want. So you see the sun is going to be pretty low in the sky, very close to the terrain, right? Which is pretty cool, pretty cool. This is a good shot. I could get the sun high in the sky if you want, and get the center of the sun at the 100 meters and get the a more high sun. But I think I prefer it to capture it more when the sun is rising. With this example, my goal with this example is you guys understand what everything means on the top panel. So and I recommend you to do that when you plan a shot. You want to learn, you want to master planning, read the plan. If on February 10th, 2024, at 7:44 a.m., I am at the red pin position. I'm going to be able to photograph the sun, actually a big sun, rising next to my target here, the Tavarich Lighthouse, and the sun size is going to be 45 meters. What focal length should I use? Well, now I'm going to use the depth of field map tool. So tap on the map settings button and tap on DOF for depth of field on map tools and go back to the map. And now I have on the map the focal length. I'm going to keep using I think it's the Nikon Z6 that I set with in the planner, camera. Focal length, let's try 300 millimeters. The aperture, let's try f5.6, maybe f8. Aperture f8, cool. And I'm going to be focusing at the black pin. Why at the black pin? Because I'm going to be focusing on my subject, which is the lighthouse. Because I want the subject to be tack sharp. So focus distance, black pin distance, perfect, because I have the black pin on the subject. And then I'm going to be shooting in, let's say, portrait, landscape mode, and I'm going to be shooting. I want the field of view to be aligned with the black pin. And now I zoom on my subject, and I see that with a with a 300 mil in landscape mode, this is going to be in the frame, and actually the lighthouse is pretty small in the frame. So I think I can go portrait to get a narrow depth of field, field of view, and then I can even go longer. I can go to 400 mil and see the difference. And because I have the sun size represented on the map, well, I know how big the sun is going to be in the photo too. This is the frame, and this is the sun size, the size of my subject, and what will be in the photo and outside the photo. In this case, I'm planning my focal length. You could even go longer. You will have a 500 mil maybe. Try to use a 500 mil, and with the 500, well, everything will look much larger, much bigger in the photo. Right? The field of view is much smaller. We can shoot in portrait, in landscape, and get it a bit wider. Okay, do you see? Does it make sense? The way I'm using the tools one after the other. First, I find my shooting spot, and date and time, the sun is going to be where I want based on the composition I want. I have imagined. And then I keep planning my focal length and now the aperture. Why I'm talking about the aperture? Because I have set an aperture of f8. Maybe you want the sun and the moon to be also acceptably sharp. For that, you need to know your depth of field near limit and depth of field far limit. So, for example, if with a 500 mil, if I focus on my subject, the lighthouse, and I have an aperture of f8, the hyperfocal distance is 1 kilometer. And you know that the hyperfocal distance is that distance that if you focus at the hyperfocal distance, you're going to get acceptably sharp from half of this distance till infinity. And if you focus at something that's behind the hyperfocal distance, infinity will be always acceptably sharp. So in this case, if you photograph in the sun or the moon, well, and you want to have the sun or the moon to look acceptably sharp, for example, if you're using a solar filter, you're going to capture detail on the sun, well, make sure that you're focusing at something that's behind that hyperfocal distance. In this case, I'm on the safe side because the hyperfocal distance is only 1 kilometer, and my subject is at 4.8 kilometers. So if I'm focusing on my subject at 4.81 kilometers, I'm going to get in focus from 857, which is the depth of field near limit, till infinity. You have the infinity sign, the depth of field far limit, the infinity sign above the Google Maps icon on the bottom left-hand side of the map. So what do you think? Easy or difficult? I hope it makes sense to you. And this class allows you to lose the fear of the PhotoPills Planner. Because if you know a location and you start brainstorming photo ideas with the sun, the moon, the Milky Way, then all you have to do is to move the red pin. Switch on the map layer you need to understand where the sun, the moon, and the Milky Way is going to be. And then find the date and time the sun, the moon, and the Milky Way are where you want then to be compared to the subject. And for that, super useful to use the map pin and also the map panel number 2 above the map. Very cool. I'm going to switch off the map layer tool to have less noise on the map. And well, this is one way to plan shots. When you know the date and you know what you want, you can look based on the position of the sun or the moon. That way you can find the cool shooting spot. But sometimes you don't know the date. You will have a photo in mind. For example, imagine that you want to photograph the moon in the same position. Imagine that you want to photograph the moon from the same shooting spot, but aligned with the top of the lighthouse. Well, if I switch on the moon information on the map, by going into the Maps layer button, I'm going to switch off the sun information. Well, on February 10th, what moon phase I have in February 10th? On February 10th is a new moon, so it's not a good day to photograph the moon aligned with anything. And it's not aligned either with the lighthouse. So imagine that you want to photograph the full moon aligned with the lighthouse from the shooting spot. Well, you have the photo in mind, but you don't know when it happens. How can you plan the shot? Well, you can use the Find tool here. The Find tool. Because the Find tool, if you go to moon at azimuth elevation on iOS or moon on Android, because actually it's the same tool. All you have to do here is, well, you have the black pin on the lighthouse. The blue pin will appear right where the black pin is, so you already set the direction you want the moon to be. And in this screen, you have to set three things: the date range, so you want PhotoPills to look for results. So start, for example, today, and look for results in 2 years. So I'm telling PhotoPills, okay, I want the moon to be aligned with the top of the lighthouse, and I want you to search for possible dates starting today in 2 years. Understood? Good. And then I need to tell PhotoPills where I want the moon to be, the azimuth and the elevation, which are the two coordinates that determine the position of the moon. The azimuth is the angle measured from north. Well, this is very technical, but basically it's this angle here, 190 degrees. 90 degrees is east, 0 degrees of azimuth is north, 180 degrees is south, and 270 degrees is west. So 109 is this angle here, basically the position of the blue pin. So the azimuth is set. If the blue pin falls inside this area here, it means that the moon is never going to be there. So in this dark area, you won't find alignments, you won't find results. So make sure that the black pin and the blue pin are outside this area. Okay, I want the moon to be aligned with the lighthouse, and I want a tolerance of ±2 is the tolerance, which is this tolerance here. So I'm telling PhotoPills, look for results when the moon is going to be inside this blue band here, ±2. You can tap on numeric here at the bottom, numeric, and set it, narrow the tolerance. So now you're going to get less results. For my experience, I recommend you guys to put a large tolerance if you have multiple possible shooting spots. In this case, I'm going to leave it like this because I think I cannot move that much. There are not that many shooting spots. So I'm going to keep the tolerance low and see if I can get the moon aligned with the lighthouse. Once again, if you want to change the tolerance, use the numeric option at the bottom, right? And if now you get lost, don't worry. Just listen what I'm saying, because this class is going to be recorded, and you can stop me afterwards, and you can even slow me down on YouTube, so you can follow all the steps. But I want to cover as much as I can today, so I'm going pretty fast. Okay, I have the date range. I have the azimuth set with tolerance, and now I need to tell PhotoPills the elevation, which is how high I want the moon to be. And for the elevation, I always set it using the numeric option here. Numeric. Why? Because here I can set the tolerance, which for the moon I always use 0.5 degrees. I think it's a good tolerance. That works very well, the error. And and then I use to set the elevation this information here, the apparent height above the blue pin. And this basically, if the lighthouse is, let's say, 30 meters, or your subject is 30 meters tall, you set here 30 meters. And this way you're telling that you want the center of the moon to be at 30 meters above the blue pin, so you're above the black pin. And if your lighthouse, your subject is 30 meters, then you're telling that you want the moon to be at the same, the center of the moon to be at the same height as the height of your subject. So it's super simple. Because you're gonna know the height of your subject, you introduce the height of the subject here, and the elevation is automatically set. And now all I have to do is to tap on the magnifying glass icon here on the top to get all the possible dates the moon will be aligned and within the search parameters. And I have all the dates with the moon phase, and also the background color is telling you the natural light you'll have at the time of the photo. For example, this shot is pretty cool. It's golden hour and the moon is super thin. And if the sky is clear, I think it's going to be a very cool shot. This one is in the nighttime. And the moon phase, it's not full, it's half full. This daytime, light blue, daytime, golden hour again. What else we have here? And the purples are more the twilights. You can also tap on phase here and sort the table bar by moon phase. For example, let's check this first result here. On Monday, this August 19th, 2024, so this summer here in Spain, at us 8:46 p.m. Let's check the plan. Okay. And this is what you need to do. Once you have the possible dates, all you have to do goes to check the dates you think the conditions are good, and then fine-tune the plan. Fine-tune the plan. This is finding the right shooting spot and also changing a bit the shooting time to get the moon where you want it to be. Because on August 19th at 8:46, the moon is about to rise. Actually, it's rising. On the top panel, I have moonrise 8:46 p.m. So the moon is rising, and if you want the moon to be next to the lighthouse, well, it's good. Maybe this is a good composition. Here you have the lighthouse. The moon is rising here, and then it appears and it moves away from the lighthouse. That could be a cool shot. But if you want the moon to be aligned with the lighthouse and aligned with the top of the lighthouse, then you need to use panel number 2. Why? Because this panel actually is telling me the moon height is the height of the center of the moon above the blood pin. And I have it at 30 meters. Well, not too bad. Which is the height I want. 30 meters, which is the height of the lighthouse, more or less, right? And now I need to align, right? If you want to align, I need to move. I need to change my red pin. I need to change my shooting spot to align it with my subject. In this case, I'm going to be moving, for example, here. And again, I change it too much. I went too much away. Maybe from the beach. Maybe here. Okay. You see? Oh, now I have the moon next to my lighthouse, which is pretty cool too. Okay. Trick. If you don't want to be like moving and forward, doing all these changes of the blue red pin until you get the shooting spot, tap on the plus, tap on this button here to expand the lines of the moon. And this, what does is that expands the position of the moon backwards. And then tap on the plus again, swap the pins. You swap the pins. And then you place the back pin on the expanded line, and then you swap back the pins. Swap back the pins, and now the moon should be aligned with your lighthouse. It's a quick way to align the moon with your subject. Did you know this trick? Come on, guys, you should be watching my videos more often. Let me know in the comments. Well, I'm happy. Still 331 people with me. You're my heroes. Okay. Perfect. I'll repeat it. Tap on the plus. Make sure that you have this button here enabled. Expands the map lines. You swap the pins, and then you place the black pin on this line here and swap back. Right? And probably, if you do that a few times, you'll see that the height of the moon changes, so you need to adjust it again. So maybe it needs 1 or 2 times until you nail your shooting spot, right? Until you nail your shooting spot and shooting time. Okay, and this is how I plan my moonshots when I don't know the date. I just place the red pin on the spot I want to be shooting from, and then I use the find tool to find the sun or the moon. When the sun or the moon are going to be where I want them to be. And here, panel number 2 is key, super important. It's super easy, but it's super important. More things. So if on August 19th, I think I'm gonna save this shot. Guys, you want to come to Menorca? Yeah. August 19th, 2024, from Dutch shooting spot Binnenbecker. There are a few cool restaurants in Binnenbecker you can go after the shooting that I can recommend if you want. But from the beach of Binnenbecker, this shot is gonna be pretty cool. And the shooting time is 8:49 p.m., which is awesome. Okay, what natural light I'm gonna get at the time of the shooting? Because when you're flying the moon, you need to always check the type of natural light. It's not the same to photograph the moon night, golden hour, blue hour, or at night, right? And you know that if you want to have in one single exposure correctly exposed to both the moon and your subject, you need to shoot either daytime or golden hour or blue hour. When the sun is too low, under -6 degrees of elevation, when the astronomical twilight, the civil twilight ends, then it's not possible to capture the landscape and the moon correctly exposed. Then you need to decide to shoot a silhouette or to shoot a double exposure. Okay, and where do we have the moonlight? The natural light at the time of the shooting? Well, we have it on panel number 3, which is key. I only use this panel for 2 things. First, to check the natural light based on the elevation of the sun, and also to check the moon phase. This is full moon. I have the percentage of the moon phase. So how do I know the type of natural light based on the elevation of the sun? Well, you should know that when the sun is above 6 degrees of elevation, it's daytime. Golden hour is when the sun is from 6 to -4, till -4 degrees. This is for PhotoPills. No? In this case, I have the sun at -3.84 degrees. 84 degrees, which means that it's at the end of the golden hour and at the beginning of the blue hour. For PhotoPills, the blue hour is when the sun is between -4 and -6 degrees. So it's at the border. And it's super important because this is a fantastic natural light to shoot the moon. Why? Because you can expose for both in one single shot, for the moon and your subject. And second, because the moon is going to be yellow and powerful and super beautiful in the sky, because the natural light also affects the color of the moon. At daytime, you know that the moon is more faint, bluish, white. At nighttime, the moon is gray. And during the golden hour and blue hour, then the moon gets this amazing color, yellow color. So always when you plan a shot of the moon, always check the elevation of the sun. And the elevation of the sun will tell you the natural light you will get. And ideally, you want to have it in golden hour, blue hour. Of course, this is true when you're shooting a landscape. If you're shooting, for example, the skyscrapers in New York, or your subject is lit, then because of the artificial light, you can get in one single exposure, correctly expose both the moon and your subject. But guys, you're photographers. You need to you need to control the conditions, at least to try to predict the conditions. And then, as we say, you plan and then you pray to get the perfect conditions. And the conditions that you want don't occur because of the weather. Then you forget about the plan and you quickly react and come up with a new idea, because this is all about photography is all about having fun and don't get angry if the conditions are not good. Just go back until you get the shot you want. Okay, any questions, Sandra? I see that you're doing a great job in the chat. Gonna drink a little bit of tea. It's 1 hour already. Down the road. Let's see any question. Let me see. I have a question here from Jürgen. How to set up that the blue line? Well, you want to see the size of the sun or the moon on the map. you need to go again. As I said, this button here is key, the layers button or the map settings button. You need to use it because here you can decide what you want to see on the map and the way you want to see it. And you need to go to moon layer and switch on show moon size to switch on the position, the size of the moon. And for the same for the sun, go to the sun layer and switch on the show sun size. Okay, one tip here. Let's say that you want to understand how light will impact your subject. How do you do that for a given date and time? For example, let's say that you want to shoot an architecture shot of this lighthouse, and you want to understand how light will impact your subject next weekend. Okay, you could do the same. You shoot in a time lapse, for example, at night. You want to see how the moonlight, when the moon rises, impacts this lighthouse, but I'm going to do it with the sun. So because I'm planning something with the sun, I'm planning the light, natural light, I'm going to go to the map settings button, switch on the sun layer, switch off the moon layer because I don't need it. And you see here, you read it, standard. Standard is the mode that gives you the sunrise and sunset directions, but we have more modes here. You have the path of the sun, which gives you, the path and the time the sun is going to be in the different positions, and also you have the light direction layer, which is another way to see how light will impact. And if I place the red pin on my subject, well, I can clearly see the light direction. I can clearly see how light will impact and where the shadows will be and what facade will be in the shade and what time and everything, right? And this is probably a very unknown tool that we have in PhotoPills. That nobody knows that exists, but it's very useful when you're planning shots in cities or in architecture, or you just want to understand how light will interact with your subject. Right? That's pretty cool. Very cool. Okay, I'm going to switch off the black pin, and I'm going to go back to the sun light direction standard mode. Perfect. And I'm going to switch off the expand button, and I'm going to delete it by dragging and dropping. All I do now is fast. I already explained it in the first half an hour how to do all these things. Okay, we planned a sun shot given a date. We've planned with an alignment. We've planned a moon shot when we don't know the date. By the way, you want to plan, for example, the next full moon. How would you do it? I mean, you follow the same steps I follow to plan the sun. But in this case, you need to set the date to the next full moon. And how do you do it fast? How do you set the date to the next full moon super fast? Well, if you go to panel number 4, the one that gives you the sunrise, sunset, moonset, moonrise directions, here you have a picture of the moon, and this moon, this picture is also a button. If you tap it, time jumps to the next important moon phase. So if you want to set the date to the next full moon, it's super easy. You double tap on the time bar to set the day to today. And now you tap on the top panel on the picture until the moon is full. And this is on February 24th, 2024. Right? And now you want to see where the moon is rising or setting. You need to switch on the moon layer using the map settings button. I'm going to switch off the sun layer. I'm going to switch on the moon layer. And now that I have the moon rise and set directions, because I have the date, the shooting date on February 24th, full moon date, and based on the sunrise, moonrise, and moonset directions, I can look for a subject. And again, the more subjects you know, the better. For example, I could go here, not here because it does not align. Let's have a varnish from the beach. From here, maybe, yeah, we can align it. We can align the Paris lighthouse with the moon. And when the moon is rising, it aligns, and again, always panel number 2, tap on the icon on the panel and place the black pin on the lighthouse, change the time. I'm doing it fast on purpose to see how easy it is when you master the workflow, when you master these basic steps. So you can find the shooting spots easily. Once again, first set the date of the full moon or the date you want to photograph the moon. And by setting the date, you're going to get the lines on the map, the moonrise and moonset lines. And based on the moonrise and moonset lines, you choose your initial shooting spot based on the subject. You try to find the subject that aligns with the moon. And then you place the black pin on your subject and use the panel number 2 to understand how high and how big the moon will be compared with your subject, right? And panel number 3, again, gives you the natural light, minus 3.93, which is the end of the golden hour again. And then I'm going to go on location and see if the moon is visible or not from this shooting spot. Or you could move to understand if something is blocking the view of your subject or the moon. You could move the red pin on the line, the black pin on the azimuth line of the moon, and check, and check on panel number 2, how high is the moon above the terrain, right? If this number is positive, the moon is above the terrain. So just keep moving and moving. You see, for example, here the moon is almost blocked. It's only 1 meter, the moon height, and actually the size of the sun, the moon is very small. So probably here there is something blocking. And when there is something blocking the view of the moon, the moon line turns dashed. As you see, moon height minus 4.6 meters. No, I don't want this. This means that the moon is under the terrain here, so I won't be able to see the moon. So for this case, this shooting spot doesn't work for the moon. For this shot, I need to go back, and maybe I need to find a closer shooting spot where I have a better view of the lighthouse. And even I'm getting a decent size of the moon. You see, 5 meters. The moon is pretty big. It's nice with the lighthouse. Okay. Questions on planning moon, sun alignments, how big it is, the sun, the moon. Again, guys, you have the power to imagine photos. You need to spend time scouting and finding cool locations. And the more locations you know, the easier it will be to find your shots. And maybe you love photographing the moon, or maybe you just love photographing natural light, hitting, on your subject in a particular direction. Or maybe you want to plan a time lapse and you want to have the moon light on your subject, capture how the moon light goes on your subject at night. You can plan them with these simple steps, just by knowing how to move the red pin, knowing how to set the date and the time with the time bar, and then understanding, where the moon is going to be, the sun, the Milky Way, compared to your subject. I see in the chat a question on go back over how to extend the dashed line behind the red pin. Very good question. But again, how would you do it? I mean, on the map, I only have like 2 buttons. The map settings button and the tools button. The tool is the other one you need to master, right? Which is this one. And to expand, you need to go to this button here. This expands the azimuth line of the sun and the moon. So you know all possible shooting spots. So you want to start planning a shot, or you want to align it. Now that I'm here with this map tool, There is one button that's super important, which is the arrowhead here, this one. Why it's important? Well, it's important because it shows where you are. If you give access to PhotoPills to the GPS coordinates of your phone, then you'll be able to see where you are on the map. So when you walk, this blue circumference will follow you. And when this blue circle is concentric with, the end of the red pin here, is when you know that you are at the red pin position at the shooting spot. For example, if I tap the GPS button to place the red pin where I am, you see that the red pin is concentric with this blue circumference. Okay, I'm gonna undo this, go back to where I was. I'm gonna switch off my position on the map. I'm gonna switch off the expand map button. Also in the user manual, in the PhotoPills user manual that you can download from our website, in the Academy section, you have a specific section where we explain all the buttons inside this plus button. So for the planner, everything is, I think, pretty well structured. You have the top panels on the map. Above the map, you have the map information, and on the map information, you have these two key buttons you need to master: the plus and the layers button. And then we have time bar, and then we have these other cool tools that we have. The find tool to find alignments, and the AR to visualize, for example, when you are at the right position, you can visualize where the moon is going to be. And I have doors open because of the echo in this little cave I am working every day. So that's pretty cool. Okay, let's move into Milky Way photography, Milky Way planning. What do you think, guys? Should we do that? I see Mary. I think I finally got it. Yeah. I mean, it's about practicing. Tell you forget. I'm sure you'll forget very fast, but you can always come back to this video and check it back. Again, mastering PhotoPills actually is not that important. If you have the will and you have an idea of a photo, then you'll have questions, right? When is going to be the moon there? When is going to be the sun there? What time sun is rising? Blah, blah. And then is when you place the red pin in the location, you set the date, and you understand, sunrise time, sunrise direction, and then you start moving and playing and finding possible shooting spots. Hey, Happy Hiker says, let's go for Milky Way. Okay, let's do it. So first step, question for you. If I want to plan the Milky Way, what's my first step? Come on, let me know in your comments. Let me know. Nobody knows what button I need to press to enable the Milky Way on the map. Yeah, Sandra says location. Yes. Yeah, turn on the Milky Way map tool. Well, it's not the Milky Way map tool, but it's the Milky Way layer. Very good, guys. You're here. You're learning. I love that. Okay, yeah. First step, as always, place a red pin in the location you want to shoot the Milky Way. For example, let's say that one should Milky Way in average. I've done this example 100 times, but it's very useful. I recommend you to place the black pin on your subject always, just to have your subject perfectly identified on the map. And now, because I'm planning the Milky Way, I'm going to switch on the Milky Way layer on the map by tapping on the map settings button here on the map. And I'm going to switch on by tapping on the eye next to the Milky Way layer. Switch on the Milky Way layer, and I'm going to leave the moon layer because, when you plan a night shot, you need to know where the moon is. It's below the horizon, and if it's above the horizon, the phase it has, and also where it's going to be. It's not always bad to have the moon when you're photographing auroras or the Milky Way, because the moon, when it's low in the sky, rising or setting, even with a large moon phase, it helps you a lot to get to correctly dispose the photo. Imagine a vast landscape
completely dark. With the moonlight, you can capture detail in one single exposure. So you can correctly dispose both the landscape and the stars in one single exposure thanks to the moonlight. So flying the moon is pretty cool too. And seeing a moon rise at night is awesome. Okay, how do you plan the Milky Way? Well, now I have the Milky Way information on the map. And on the top panel, we have two Milky Way panels. Oh, by the way, this panel here is telling me the twilights, civil, mythical, astronomical twilight at night and the morning and in the evening. You know that before the astronomical twilight begins and when the astronomical twilight ends is when it's nighttime. And the civil twilight is a great time to photograph the moon, for example. Next panel is giving you the golden hour times for the location of red beam, which is pretty cool, the morning and evening. And the next one is telling me for the selected date and time when the galactic center will be visible. So in February, on February 24th, which is full moon, by the way, the galactic center is going to be visible from 3:57 a.m. till 5:53 a.m. And where is it going to be visible? It's going to be visible in the direction of these two gray lines that I have on the map. This light gray line and this dark gray line. Here we'll have the galactic center. Let's change the time. I have the time at daytime and I change the time until it's nighttime. And when it's nighttime, the Milky Way appears on the map. And after 3:57, the galactic center appears on the map. The galactic center is the largest dot on the arch. The Milky Way is represented by this arch on the map. And with a bit of practice, you understand, just by looking on the map, where the Milky Way is going to be and how it's going to be compared versus your subject. In this case, for example, let me explain. At 4:53 a.m., I have the Milky Way galactic center in this direction. I have the Milky Way meeting the horizon in this direction and in this direction. It's the thin light, the thin white line. It's telling me the direction the Milky Way meets the horizon. And in front of me and above the lighthouse, I'm going to have this arch. The Milky Way will be arching above the lighthouse. Also, if you imagine that you are at the red beam position, you can always tap on the night AR and visualize on the AR screen the position of the Milky Way. And here we have the horizon. Here I have the Polaris. But by the way, these circumferences here, the blue circumferences are telling you the star trails pattern you'll get. So you know that if you frame the Polaris, you're going to get circumferences. The stars will appear to describe circumferences around the Polaris. We have the horizon. And we have the Milky Way appearing here, going up, arching very low, very close to the horizon, and dying in this direction where I have some stuff there. This is the galactic center, the red dot, the orange dot, and this is the crossing point of the horizon. I have the date and time. And if you swipe this AR, please do it at home. Just swipe the screen and you see how the time changes. So you see how the Milky Way changes also over time. And now it's crystal clear because it's nighttime, but when you get into the twilights, it gets kind of bluish. And in daytime, you have the yellow background. Right? So the Milky Way is not visible here. So what I do is usually, okay, and I like this position of the Milky Way. Good, at what time? At 5:28 a.m. Where's going to be the moon? Because I have the moon here too. Well, the moon is full moon and it's in this direction. It might help me, with the terrain, the foreground. It also can be pretty annoying for the stars, for the sky. And what I've seen in the AR, I also have it on the map. So I have the arch, arching above my lighthouse, the position of the galactic center, and then the position of the moon. The moon is going to be just at my back. So it's going to be front lit. In this case, it's front lit from this day. So it's not a very good day, I would say. You need to wait for the moon to set. When the moon sets, there is no night, so no sky. Okay, I hope that now that you understand, more or less the key assets when you're trying to plan the Milky Way. How do you actually do it? Well, for me, I always do the same thing. I place the red pin next to my subject. I switch on the Milky Way layer and the Moon layer. I double tap on the time bar to set the day to today, February 7th. And now I'll jump time to the next new moon, and I'll cover all the new moons of the year to understand every month what are the possible compositions I can get on that spot. Super important. How do you do that fast? Well, for that we need to go to the next panel, the Milky Way panel. Here I have a picture of the Milky Way that is telling me the position of the Milky Way. When it's vertical like this, because the Milky Way arch goes above the red pin. When it's horizontal, pretty low in the sky, it's because the arch is close to the larger circumference or is away from the red pin. So when it's close to the red pin, closer to the red pin is vertical. When it goes further away from the red pin, is more horizontal. Pretty good. The energy bar you have next to the Milky Way picture is linked to the moon phase, basically. And it's telling me when it's full, it's because it's around a new moon. So today is new moon, so it's a great day for the Milky Way. And also here I have the coordinates of the galactic center, which is this larger dot on the Milky Way arch, and the Milky Way maximum elevation position, which is the center of the arch. So I know that the arch is at 22.9 meters above 9 degrees above my above the horizon. Great. So let me go back and repeat how to plan the Milky Way. First, you place the red pin next to your subject. You switch on the Milky Way layer and do a double tap on the time bar to set the date to today. And now, to set the next new moon, what I do is I tap on the icon of the Milky Way. And what it does, it jumps to the next new moon date, which is on February 10th. And now I can decide, okay, I have the thin part of the Milky Way that can be shot from the other side of the lighthouse, but no galactic center. If I want the galactic center and the arch, I need to shoot it from here. Maybe use the road as a guiding line to the lighthouse. I have a Milky Way arch. So in this case, in the AR view, night AR view, you'll see Milky Way core, and the arch would be like more or less here, under the middle, right in the middle of the arch, right? Which would be the lighthouse. Pretty cool. And then if you want to capture the diagonal of the arch of the core with the lighthouse, I need to go here. So what you do is go during the day and scout and try to find cool compositions, cool patterns in the foreground to work with your lighthouse and also with your subject and with the position of the Milky Way. So from this shooting spot, if I go to the night AR, what you have is you have this diagonal here, the Milky Way, and the lighthouse over there. Well, it's another possible shot. This, very cool, by the way. So yeah, these are the shots I can get in February. And actually, the good thing about the Milky Way, it's super easy to predict because every month you can shoot the same shot every day. But what only changes are the weather conditions and the moon conditions, right? So even in February, January, let me drink something. Let me see if I can speak. In February and March, and even in April, you can get the same shots. It's pretty cool. And then the Milky Way gets more and more vertical. And I'll show you. So if I tap on the icon on the top panel again, I jump to the next new moon, March 10th. On March 10th, in March you can shoot almost the same shots. Yes, you can get the Milky Way more vertical than in February. You can shoot the galactic center more time, which is pretty cool. But you cannot shoot the Milky Way completely vertical in March. Let's check April. Tap on the button on the top panel again. April new moon is on the 8th, and here, well, you start getting more and more vertical Milky Ways. Yeah, the diagonal of the Milky Way is getting more and more vertical. Very cool. Let's check. Let's go to June. In June, if you want to have a Milky Way completely vertical, you cannot get it. You get it almost at the end of the month, maybe. I'm sure in July it's going to happen. In July, it's when you can get the Milky Way completely vertical. If I tap on the 90R, you'll see that the Milky Way looks completely vertical with the galactic center. Right? Very, very cool. So for the northern hemisphere, you want to shoot vertical composition of Milky Way with the galactic center. You need to wait until July. So from July to November, July, August, September, October are great months for vertical compositions of the Milky Way. In the early season, from February till June, are great for low panoramas and cool diagonals of the Milky Way. In the southern hemisphere, the lucky ones that are living in the southern hemisphere, then you can shoot amazing shots of the Milky Way all the way around, and shoot panels and vertical Milky Ways almost every month. It's pretty simple to plan the Milky Way. And again, given a month in the northern hemisphere, the Milky Way always gonna be there. So once you plan it once, you know that's gonna be the same for next year. Actually, it happens the same for the sun. The moon is the trickier one that changes a lot. But with the class I'm giving today, you should be a moon master planner with PhotoPills. Okay, Milky Way planning. I hope it's clear because I'm moving forward. And if you want to, let's say that you want to plan a star trail shot here with the map. Star trails. Where is the Polaris in the map? Come on. Any advanced student that knows where the Polaris is based on the map? I'll give you a hint. At the top, on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side, or at the bottom of the map. Let's say the Polaris is in this direction, in this direction, in this direction, or in this direction. And you should know the answer because I told you at the beginning of the, where is north on the map? Well, north on the map is at the top. So north at the top, south at the bottom, east on the right, west on the left. So you want to plan the circumpolar shot of Polaris lighthouse, you need to go south of the lighthouse because the Polaris is going to be north, right? And if you are at the red pin position, you can use the 90R and you visualize the Polaris here. And this is super simple to use. You just use the 90R tool, you place yourself where the red pin is, use the 90R tool, and you're going to visualize, even during daytime, where the Polaris is going to be. And you can just walk around until you find the composition you want with your subject. And as I said, these bullet circumferences are telling you the star trails pattern you will get depending on your shooting direction. If you're shooting north, in the northern hemisphere, you're getting a circumpolar image. If you're shooting east or west, you're getting the celestial equator and this beautiful pattern of the stars diverging away from the equator, the celestial equator on both sides. And this pattern is amazing. I really love it. It's pretty cool. And if you frame south, then you get the stars describing arches above your mask. You have the horizon here, and the stars are describing arches of the horizon. And these patterns will change based on the latitude you are on Earth. It's not the same to be at the equator, the northern hemisphere, or southern hemisphere. Everything changes a little bit. You know that at the equator, Polaris is at the horizon, right? And for those of you living in the southern hemisphere, well, you have the south celestial pole here, which is the equivalent of the north celestial pole, where we more or less have the Polaris. Which is very cool. So planning central shots here, even with the map, is super simple. If you want to frame the Polaris, you need to lift your subject north. If you want to frame the celestial equators, you need to frame, towards the east or towards the west, or shoot towards the east. Here, right? Frame the celestial equator. Okay. More questions? Let me check. Let me check. Sandra is doing a great job answering all the questions for me. Thank you, Sandra. I love you. Because with little Danielle, I think I caught something. He's been ill, and I'm getting ill too, I think. Tomorrow we have the same class in Spanish, by the way. Somebody speaks Spanish and wants to see me again giving the class. Feel free to join us tomorrow too. Okay. I've used PhotoPills a couple of times. I really like it. I think I just learned a dozen new things just watching this video. Oh, thank you so much. I wonder if any other basic live webinar would be helpful. As well, on the channel, on the live talk, we have many webinars, many live classes with what we call the PhotoPills Masters, photographers, people. You can learn a lot of stuff, not only PhotoPills. All those classes. I invite you guys to check those too. Okay, and last but not least, 1 hour and a half here, and 270 people still surviving my class. Thank you guys for being so patient and for the support. The last thing I want to show you today is how to plan at least to figure out where to go to enjoy the next total solar eclipse that occurs. We will cross in from Canada, United States, and Mexico. And how do you think you can plan the eclipse? The first thing is to always set the layer of the event you want to plan. So tap on the map settings button here again, and go to the eclipse layer. And what you do is you choose the eclipse you want to plan. In this case, total solar eclipse on April 8th, 2024, and we'll put an expedition together to photograph Rachel Jones Ross, the total solar eclipse in Bay in Canada. We're praying to have the clouds. But the goal is to photograph the Milky Way, the eclipse, and the aurora, if we can. It's going to be awesome. And also on the same date of the eclipse, there will be a comet 12P Pons Brooks. That's going to be not very far away from the eclipse during totality. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what we can get. Well, long story short, tap on the eclipse you want to plan. In this case, on the 4th, the 8th of April 2024, and I'm going to switch off the Milky Way and I'm going to switch on the sun and moon information and go back to the map. I'm going to switch off the black panel, the black pin. Okay. Panel number 2, and I'm going to go to the eclipse panel, which is this one here. And unfortunately, in Menorca, well, PhotoPills is telling me that the eclipse is not visible. And I zoom out, have on the map what's going to be the path of totality for this amazing natural phenomenon, and we'll be in play here, somewhere around this area, photographing it. But you guys I suppose most of you are in the US, and as you see, it's crossing from Canada, US to Mexico. For weather, well, Mexico is a place where the weather is best, less clouds are predicted, and then it increases the clouds level as you go north. Okay, so if you want to photograph totality, you need to be within the path of totality. Dallas, for example, Austin is at the border. Piedras Negras, it's pretty cool. Dallas is almost at the center here. The more to the center you go, the more to the next to this thin blue line you go, the longer the totality will last. And on the top panel, you have the magnitude of the eclipse, but most important, you have the totality. 4 minutes, 19 seconds. If I go more south, it goes to 2 minutes, 31 seconds. So the closer you are, the longer the eclipse will be. So you are at the center of the totality, the better, much better. Perfect. So, and if you're outside, then you get a partial eclipse, right? And if I go to the second eclipse panel, this panel is key because it's telling you the phases of the eclipse you'll get at the reflected position. In this case, I'm only getting the partial phase of the eclipse. And if I change the time, I can see how the eclipse evolves, right? Here I have when the eclipse begins, when the eclipse is maximum at 1:48.5, and when the eclipse ends at 3:02 p.m. If I go back to Dallas or next to Dallas, well, see that from here, from the path of totality, I can really photograph all the phases of the eclipse from the partial phase that starts at 12:33 and 3 seconds p.m. Totality that begins at 1:40 and 20 seconds, and it ends at 1:44 and 41 seconds, and the partial eclipse ends at 3:02. Right, and on the map, so you should be ready to shoot the eclipse at 12, I would say, to get ready for the show. For the total solar eclipse, during the phase of the partial eclipse, using a solar filter is recommended, but when the moon goes above the sun and totality begins, right before, you need to remove the solar filter so you're able to photograph, the diamond ring, the Bailey beads, and the chromosphere, and the sun's corona, and all the effects. Don't use a solar filter because you can nothing. Only use a solar filter to photograph the partial phase of the eclipse. When totality is about to start, say at 1:40, I would just remove the solar filter, or even at 1:39, I will remove the solar filter and start showing prepare for the phenomena that occur during the total solar eclipse. Diamond ring, Bailey's beads, sun's corona, sun's chromosphere. Super cool. Okay, so we know the times and we know where the sun is going to be. The eclipse is going to happen in the direction of this thin line. And again, I change the time with time bar, and I see on the top panel how the eclipse evolves based on the time, and on the map I see where the eclipse is going to be. Which is pretty cool. Also, if you are at the right position, you can tap on the AR button and visualize how high the eclipse is above the horizon. So this eclipse is pretty hard to align with anything, unless you shoot over a cliff or something. We're going to pay, and our goal is just to photograph the faces of the eclipse. Is complicated enough to get it right. So, and it's also amazing just to capture the faces. So guys, this is how you plan your eclipse shots. If you want to have the eclipse align with something, then you need to follow the same steps I did before to plan the sun or the moon. It's all about using the black pen and the panel number 2 to understand how high the eclipse will be versus your subject. Okay. Because I think that's everything for today. 1 hour and 40 minutes, almost. 195 people still with me. So thank you so much, guys, for being patient. And I hope I helped you lose that fear, or I gave you a push, a big push to understand how PhotoPills works, so you can start brainstorming and thinking about different compositions on the locations and you start planning, and you start imagining, and you start planning, and you start shooting, and you start having fun with photography, even if it's for business or for just fun. So yeah, if there are no more questions, let me check comments here. What is the difference between, from Ralph, what is the difference between the night AR and just the AR? Well, good question. The night AR is for the night elements. So you have the Milky Way, the moon, and the Polaris, and the star trails. So you want to plan a night shot, use the night AR. You want to plan the sun shot or the moon shot, that are going to use the AR. So you have the sun and moon paths on the AR. Okay, more questions here. Thank you, Neil, for your nice words. Thanks for the informative presentation. Thanks for the lesson. Many thanks, Sandra, Mike. Wonderful information. Kupua, good question. Let's see. If photographing with for a time lapse, would you recommend auto expose? Well, I'm not a photographer. You should know that. I use expose manually for a time lapse. Above all, if you're because otherwise, when you put the time lapse, everything will be changing on the exposure. I think you need to be in control of the exposure when you're shooting a time lapse, for sure. More things. Oh, thank you guys for everything. Sandra, I'm gonna miss you for the PHOTOPILLERS camp this year. I hope Rob is good, it's okay, and life is good. So guys, thanks again for spending these almost 2 hours with me. I'm sorry, my voice, I'm catching a cold or something. Sandra is asking, how can I reset map layers on the map settings? Any idea? Reset map layers. Well, that's a good question, by the way. If you tap on the plus on the layers, at the bottom you have reset map layers. And what does this do? Is that it gives you the initial layers, like the sun, moon, and the twilight layer. I don't like that. I don't use I like it, but I don't use it that much, so I don't really get the twilight on. But yeah, reset map layers, that's the button you're asking for. I think Sandra is asking me, somebody is not seeing the Milky Way layer. Well, now I'm playing Eclipse, so I'm gonna switch on the Milky Way layer. Yep. And the Eclipse should be, maybe there is a bug here. Should be removed. Yeah, the Eclipse is out. So yeah, you can switch on the to switch on the Milky Way layer. Basically, you need to tap on the eye next to the Milky Way layer. Yes. I think Sandra is telling me that the other Sandra is not seeing the Milky Way layer. That's super weird. You should be able to see it. You just tap on the eye next to the Milky Way layer. You should be able to see it. If you don't see it, send us an email with a screenshot, Sandra, and we'll answer it. Send the email to support@photopills.com, and we'll get an answer for you for sure, because you should be able to see the Milky Way layer. You just need to put the time, change the time to until nighttime to see it. Again, if you tap on the Milky Way here, it does nothing. We need to tap on the eye next to the Milky Way to switch it on. Right? I hope it helps. If the solution is not this, send us an email and we'll 100% help you. It's super weird. You should be able to see. to see the Milky layer for sure. But when you reset, Sandra, when you reset your layers, the Milky Way layer switch off. Right? Only the sun, moon, and twilights are switched on. Okay, more questions. More questions. Wayne, thank you, Wayne, for being here. Thank you. Thank you, John. Now Sandra said, I got it. Don't panic, guys. It's good. It's good. It's good that you got the Milky Way layer. Awesome. Awesome. Glad you got it. Okay. Thank you so much. I think I'm going to have dinner now. So, again, as always, if you like this video, give me a like, subscribe, and I'll see you next Wednesday in another video. And remember that you have the power to imagine, plan, and shoot legendary photos. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here with me. And for Sandra Vallaure, thank you so much for being in the chat. And Sandra, I'll see you tomorrow with the Spanish version of this class. Bye. Thank you. Thank you.